Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are. I've done something to my screen, my delicious little babies. I don't know what I've done. Seems to go, it looks a bit foggy. Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so the time is 12:15 in the afternoon in our old England, my delicious little babies. Rather chilly outside, a bit of blue sky, and not so very nice, oversized grey and white fluffy clouds, my delicious little babies. But never mind, never mind. It's still a beautiful day, and we got a little bit of sunshine. Okay, my delicious little babies. So whether or not it starts to warm up later on, my delicious little babies, well, at this point, we will never know, okay? I'm pretty sure that they do not know what they're doing themselves. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, so I got two pieces of information for you. I am now allowed to send comments, my delicious little babies. Whatever that was about, I've no idea, but I'm sure that YouTube knows what it's all about. Mind you, I haven't got much there either. My delicious little babies, okay? So, but yeah, so now I can send, back to me pleasant messages again, my delicious little babies. I wouldn't mind, but I personally do not feel that I send anything that is nasty, or, sometimes I can be just done telling the truth on my videos, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? But this is my channel, so that doesn't mean no. So as far as I'm concerned, I could do what the flipping damn well that I like, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And let's just please remember that over these years and years, there has been many other channels who put out most putrid material, and they seem to go unscathed. My delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? Okay. But when you're just trying to help mankind, well, it appears that certain are not alike in my delicious little babies. I wonder why that is, my delicious little babies. Now then, so the first one I want to mention, this is 20 minutes long, my delicious little babies. Now, they're both on YouTube. I have noticed that things are going somewhat quiet at the moment, my delicious little babies. I heard a video earlier, only from what I heard. That doesn't mean just got another itch, and the spinner's on. Okay, my delicious little babies, bless my beautiful little washing machine and my beautiful little dryer, bless them both, how I love them so. Well, it's to do with Paul Doyle, to do with the Manchester crash. Only from what I heard. If it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. I'm just giving out what I heard this morning. That apparently, is it going to the Supreme Court or something? I don't know. And apparently, according to this video, it seems that something is being, there we are, covered up in somewhere, my delicious little babies. But we will continue, there we are, to hear what else arises from this, my delicious little babies. And like I said, oh, and I'll tell you who else I was listening to before I mention my videos, my delicious little babies. Yesterday evening, it's called Goyim. Is it goyimtv.com? GOYIM, then a TV, capital T, capital V, then .com. And I was listening to, who I haven't listened to for months, because, I used to listen to them on BitChute, my delicious little babies, and like I always say, I will forever miss my lovely little BitChute. Do you know what I mean? But Jim Rizzoli and what's his name? Fake Nuke Phil. Okay, my delicious little babies. And sometimes he used to go on with our lovely, not in that way with any of them, with anybody, but our lovely Gemma O'Doherty, who's a broad Irish, my delicious little babies. But I used to enjoy listening to the videos, okay? And what fake nuke Phil, do forgive me. What he does is he calls out, there we are, what is real that he feels and what is not real. Okay, my delicious little babies now then. But he goes on regular with Jim Roserli as well, and I hope that Jim Roserli, bless him, sorry, I never needed to stumble there. That doesn't mean I hope that he's getting much better now. But yeah, I heard it. But this video was from where are we now? April. My delicious little babies, okay. But what I was trying to do is find a video, okay? Because the thing is, I do not want to go on to Twitter. I do not want to go on there, my delicious little babies, okay? But what I was trying to do was to find a video that, other than going on that platform, my delicious little babies, and clearly I cannot go on a BitChute, where, sorry, excuse me, where to see what his take is on what happened in Liverpool, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay. I just wanted to see what, not meaning, I don't know what's happening with my skin today. What his thoughts were on all of this, my delicious little babies, okay? Because he's usually, there we are, very good. Okay, my delicious little babies. But I was listening to a video yesterday evening, like I said, on goyimtv.com. And but I go through the DuckDuckGo. Do you see what I mean? My delicious little baby search engine. Then anybody could use a search engine of their choice. But you could maybe, if you wanted to try and find somebody else on there, do you see what I mean? Okay. And yeah, that was a really good video to listen to. But if I do manage to come across a video of Phil's, you know what I mean, then I will certainly, there we are, give out that information, okay? Because he does call, there we are, many things out now then. But the only thing is that you maybe want to do not very sadly want to believe something, because this is what we're up against, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean, okay? For some, not for all. But you find that one's just, because they cannot get it into their noddles, that let's just say the putrid certain authorities now would ever do such a thing. Do you know what I mean? But I can well assure you all now, my delicious little babies, there we are, that they're most capable of that, okay? So, and of course, until we know what's going on to do with this Liverpool crash business, then, not quite sure what's going on. What crossed my noddle as well, my delicious little babies, and that's what I want to say. Could there have been something else, there we are, going on in Liverpool, there we are, as well at that time? So it could have been directing attention, there we are, elsewhere. Okay, my delicious little babies. What I'm trying to do is just trying to spare a thought for all different angles, but regardless of which, for anybody who was harmed or in this incident, we can only, for their dear little selves and their dear little families, that everything will be all right, you know what I mean? But for myself, looking at the footage, well, there we are, for myself, it did look, there we are, very real. Well, it did to myself anyway, my delicious little babies. And I've seen ones where they do it in China, and that is very real, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So I don't know. But I was just trying to find out, but I was just struggling to find out what Phil's thoughts was, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm sure that if I try again, probably in another week's time or something, I may be able to, hear more. But yeah, they're really good, they are. Little Gemma, little Phil, and little Jim Roserli, bless. They're all really good, do you know what I mean, okay? So yeah, I do miss watching some videos, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Anyway, getting back to this now then, this uploader happens to have 95.9 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? hang on a sec. It's called, this is what it's called. It's 20 minutes long, like I said earlier. Sorry, my little babies, because I get flipping carried away talking about other things now, do you say? 2 words into one, over, and it's all lowercase as well, my little babies, over, zealots. I'll just spell that for you, my little babies. Zealots, over zealots. Okay, my little babies, that's the uploader. So we're going to tick this one off. And the video should read, how rich countries keep poor countries in poverty. Okay, my little babies. Well, you see, this is what is very interesting, okay, my little babies, because you see, if you really look at it, no country is poor, are there, my little babies? You know, if you've got your own resources, there we are, and you've got everything. Okay, they talk a lot about, anyway, to do with Somalia in this as well. My little babies, your man there does, okay? But if you really look at it, there we are. They have their own resources, don't they? We all do. But of course, you know, if ones were just left alone to their own devices, my little babies, in our own, there we are, in our own countries, and we can man, there we are, our own ships, okay? We would be able, there we are, to rock and roll very deliciously and very well. There we are. We really, really would, my little babies, okay? But this has not been the case, has it? And like I've talked on different videos, you know, I mean, you had Dear Africa, bless, you know, and everything, there we are, that they went through. Bless their dear little souls, okay? You had it in Dear Ethiopia, and bless them, their dear little souls, what happened to themselves, okay? You talk about Somalia, you talk about others. I mean, look at Cuba. I've mentioned that months and months and months and months and months ago. They've had, over 30 years of it now. You know what I mean, okay? And, you know, I mean, and again, if that was left to be, there we are, their own country, like the other countries, there we are, they could thrive, they could, there we are, be most prosperous. But then what we've had for decades, my little babies, there we are, is nothing but damn well, there we are, control, there we are, and greed. Do you see what I mean, my little babies? Do you see? It's like I never believe in. It's like I was listening to another video this morning. I did click off actually halfway through because I thought I cannot be bothered to listen to you. You know, and I do not mean that nastily, okay? So that's why I wouldn't even mention an uploader or anything, okay? In this particular case, to do what I'm going to say. But it's like when they say, oh, you know, like a certain country. Well, I will say, you know, what country? China, okay, my little babies, where they say that, oh, you know, there's not enough food to feed. I really just do not agree with this, my little babies, okay? So if somebody else wants to disagree, then, you know, it's their prerogative. Do you know what I mean? But for myself, no, because you would have enough berries, enough greenery, enough, there we are, of many things now to eat. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But, you know, and that's another thing I want to say. But if you look at other countries where they've had, there we are, droughts and things like this now then. So if they didn't have droughts, well, what would be, there we are, causing the droughts, my little babies? It doesn't just magically happen. And mind you, there's nothing magic about that, my little babies, because I've seen, there we are, many videos over many, many, many years, there we are, to see the damn suffering there, my little babies, okay, not only for mankind, but for other living things. You know, they're beautiful, dear little animals and little and large birdies and everything, do you know what I mean? Creatures great and small, how they've all had to suffer through all of this. And they've had to, because there we are, it was clearly, there we are, forced upon them. There we are. Okay, my little babies, okay? But if they had, you know, and anyway, seasons, when seasons, there we are supposed to be seasons, then no country on this earth would ever have any issue or any problems, my little babies. They are, there we are, caused. Okay, But this video, in 20 minutes, yes, it's very good at explaining. And right at the beginning, he shows a man's face, just a tiny bit of a speech, yeah? You see what I mean? But no country, it's like they say, oh, yeah, this country's poor, that country's poor, but they're not, because they are rich in resources and everything. It's somebody else, like I said, who comes along and wants to flipping take and lift it. There we are. Mad little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So I just feel that, but this is how they play the game now. And oh yes, and I was talking to somebody. I forgot to say, was it last week or the week before? I forgot to say. Just drawing that line. Yeah, I was talking to somebody, and they happened to be talking about where, like some bits and bobs, that are grown, and it helps to be sent over to Africa, Mardalistic babies. Do you see what I mean? Well, for myself, there we are. I see that, there we are, as a very good thing, because I believe that there we are, for Africa, bless them. I believe that there we are, they suffered an awful lot, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? So we can only hope over time now. Then, what's my conclusion? We can only hope over time. There we are, that all the countries can, start to thrive, start to get themselves back on their feet. And maybe, well, not maybe, having far less input from, there we are, certain other countries, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? And I genuinely feel, there we are, that everybody, there we are, will be happy and have there we are, a decent way of living. I mean, even to this day, you still have countries where, bless the dear little souls, but they're living in, I do not mean this disrespectfully, I would never do that, like mud huts and everything like this now in different countries. Do you see what I mean? Okay, in tents and things like this now then. You see? But like I said, if you ask the average, would they ever want to live like that? Well, of course, they're going to say no. They're going to say no. However, I do remember some years ago now. What was her name now? Oh, Scarlett. It was many years ago now, this was. It was on the old box in the corner of the room, okay? But this happened to be an interesting documentary years ago. Was it Scarlett Moffat? Okay, because I don't watch a box in the corner of the room. I haven't done for years, my delicious little babies, okay? You don't even really see a lot of her on, YouTube or anything either, my delicious little babies anyway. And where what they did is they put a house, they sort of lifted this, that's just reminded me of something, my delicious little babies, where they lowered this house. I do believe that was in Africa, my delicious little babies, okay? So they lowered this house and that she went to go and stay there in this house. My delicious little babies, okay? I remember this documentary. It was interesting to listen to. Usually I wouldn't, do you know what I mean? To do with this type of thing, but I thought, no, I don't want to watch this. And basically, what the native of that, their country, they were rather, I mean, the look on their birth traces, my delicious little babies, was a picture. Do you know what I mean? Okay, because they would think, what's this? What's this box? You know what I mean? And everything like that now then. And anyway, but what was the long and short of this documentary? The deer population there, where Scarlett, I'm pretty sure it's Scarlett Moffat, went to Africa. I'm pretty sure it was to Africa. They were far more happier, there we are, with their own way of life than if you lived in a house. My delicious little babies. So I think that was, again, an experiment. There we are. Do you know what I mean? My delicious little babies. Okay, it's just reminding me of something, just saying it. But every country has their own right to thrive and to prosper, and to feed, there we are, their populations. But like I repeat again, there is plenty of food. And as with anything, as long as it's, there we are, done the right way. It's like if you're going to learn to garden, or you're going to learn to be a farmer or something like this, then it would really sincerely help if somebody could show you how to do these things. You see what I mean? Okay, so that you can do your crops, and you can, there we are, and you can do everything. Do you see what I mean? Okay, it just means, there we are, just a little helping hand. But if it wasn't for some of the changes in weather, Mardelich babies, well, ones wouldn't have a problem, would they? It's like in our old England, because we haven't had the best of weather, Mardelich babies, and we quite clearly know the reason why. There we are. Okay, it means that it's not such a good crop. Do you see what I mean? And I, myself was complaining, wasn't I? Was it last year? I did a short video, where my little flowers that you plant should thrive. But very sadly, they just wasn't thriving, Mardelich babies. It didn't matter what you done, what plant food, whatever you did to them, okay? Or even if you just give them natural water, they still wasn't thriving, Mardelich babies. Do you see what I mean? But of course, there we are. This is all by design. Just like when they did the droughts, there we are, just like they did everything, because what it was, they wanted to starve that country, bless them. Bless any country who's been in that situation, bless them, but to starve that country of their own, there we are, resources, you know what I mean? Because if you're not getting adequate water, or you're not getting, do you know what I mean? Well, it's, there we are, it is ding, ding, dong, dong common sense, isn't it? Just the same way as if you have too much water, then it's still going to cause problems again, isn't it, Mardelich babies? There we are. That's all I'm saying, But bless all these countries. But yeah. So anyway, and then the final video. So yeah, it's just worth a little listen to. Now, for some of you Mardelich babies, you would have listened to videos like this, but I just wanted to, to point something out. But for myself, I want, there we are, every country, there we are, on this earth, there we are, to have happiness and joy and peace, love and harmony, and not have crops ruined and their countries ruined. Do you know what I mean? It's just putrid, man. Do you know what I mean, Mardelich babies? Anyway, but, one day, there we are, I'm sure that we will get, there we are, that beautiful inner peace in each of our countries. Do you see what I mean? I'm not talking about a few countries who know nothing about it, because they've already got, there we are, inner peace, haven't they, Mardelich babies? Okay, they keep themselves well out of it. Anyway, Mardelich babies, a final video. This upload happens to have 42.9 thousand subscribers, Mardelich babies. This upload in the old space bar, Mardelich babies, is called Jody, Jody, space. I'm going to have to spell this out for you, Mardelich babies. Capital B, Ruchon, Bruchon. Okay, Mardelich babies, that's the uploader, okay? Now, I watched one of his videos, came up on my feed this morning. I watched the one, and it was from, so you'd only need to look back on the, on the uploaders' videos, Mardelich babies, from 3 years ago. What he was discussing was the Windows 11, okay, Mardelich babies. Now, I've clicked onto his, his little circle on the YouTube, and then I clicked on videos just to see when the latest video was uploaded. Was it 3 or 4 days ago? Okay, I think it was 3 days ago. And this video should read, my delicious little babies, Windows 11, 4 years after it wasn't stopped. Rolling rambles. Jody Bruchon. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? So I'll just repeat that again for you. Windows 11, 4 years after it wasn't stopped. Rolling rambles. Yeah, because 3 years ago, Jody, bless him, and like I said, not in that way, he was discussing about the Windows 11. He wasn't happy. He's been into computers, I do believe, did he say, from the 1970s, Mardelich babies. Okay, so he's clearly, there we are, very banging at using computers and software and everything, okay? Well, the fact of the matter is, my delicious little babies, okay, he was already, there we are, done warning 3 years ago about it, okay? Now, I do remember, and that jogged my memory as well, my delicious little babies, because I do remember that ones are also talking about, and I'm going back years back now, the Windows 10, and ones there we are was saying, and this reminded me, my delicious little babies, of those years ago, saying that they didn't want the Windows 10. Do you see what I mean? Mad little babies, okay? So, and I remember that, there we are, very well, okay? What Jodie's saying, so anybody who's into the computer world, okay, so this, this part is not for you, my delicious little babies. My delicious little babies, the ones who are not in the computer world, okay, to know enough about it. Well, join the club, my delicious little babies, because I'm in the same boat. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay. I used to be pretty good, there we are, on computers at one time, there we are. I really did, okay. And you can use any in-house system and all this now then with with my jobs. But seeing as I don't even use a laptop, do you know what I mean? I've got a really, really, really old-fashioned RBM, Mad Delicious Babies cat. And the thing with her, she works, there we are, when she wants to work. Okay, Mad Delicious Babies. I actually bought her, how much? Was it 120 or 160 second hand? Oh, I'm going back years ago now, my delicious baby's Kai. But yeah, she works when she wants to work. So if ever there's a problem with my dog and Burns, like flipping losing them or the breakdown, because me and dog and Burns, I don't know what happens with us. Do you know what I mean? But I will then think, okay, last resort, let's try the RBM. Do you see what I mean? My delicious baby's okay, but she is very old fashioned. But yeah, there we are, I'll keep her, you know what I mean? The guy. Yeah, she just works when she wants to. She just got a mind of her own, my delicious babies, okay? Mind you, she's probably like flipping Erna, okay? My delicious babies anyway. So yeah, so you had all that with the Windows 10. So what Jodie's basically saying is, in a nutshell, long and short of this, and that's over 35 minutes long, Jodie's video, my delicious babies, okay, is saying that there's certain things you cannot do. Do you see to me? In other words, these owners of, Microsoft, and everything like that now then, right? It's like they want things, and you cannot do, there we are, anything about it. So he just explains on his video the things that really cheese him off about it. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? But it would be really good to listen back to the 3 year ago on his same channel. And it's quite clear because it's Windows 11. Do you see what I mean? My delicious babies. Now I'm going to close my book, okay? So, yeah, everything's ticked off. So we need to go back, my delicious babies, to where we need to go back to. Do you see? Okay? And finally, so I want to mention this. So yesterday, because that I've told you about my 6-foot fences, my delicious babies, okay? Now, before that, they were only half the size, okay? One blew down in the wind, so it was a case of waiting to get it replaced. Well, anyway, then I spoke to my beautiful dear little neighbours upstairs, and they said, Carly, can, sort this out. Anyway, you know everything. There's you, my delicious little babies, and thank you for any views, for any likes, and for the occasional comments. How I continue to love you so. So you will already know this, okay? But but what's happened is I've tried my best. I really have, my delicious little babies, to my heart, to get used to this, but I cannot. Okay? So yesterday came, and I had to have my say. Now I'm going to call the fence men today, my delicious little babies. Okay, there's probably a bit of a wait time. Okay, so I do not mind that so much. Okay, but just to see whether they can cut a bit off. Okay, at least because it's 6 foot, so I want it shorter. Do you understand? So I want about that much off each one. Okay, my delicious little babies, and there's 3.5. Okay, my delicious little babies. Okay, so I was explaining, so then my dear neighbour, bless, absolutely correct there, says we would like to get this, he said we'd like to get this size fence and everything. So with that, and anyway, I says yesterday, but I was only doing it, as a way to be respectful to my neighbours, okay? But once I seen them, I thought, flip me, I thought, these are just too flipping hard, man. Do you understand what I mean, okay? And it is literally, there we are, it's like living in a box. That's what it's like, my little babies, do you know what I mean? So if you look out your window, you just seen these tall flipping fences, my little babies, do you know what I mean, okay? So I do understand with my dear little neighbours, you know, because I says, look, I says, I'm not just going to, you know, have disagreements over a damn fence. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, I says, but I said, I've tried to get used to it. I cannot get used to it. And I said, so I will, I said, if I could please have the number to the fencemen, there we are. I said, then I can contact them myself and I'll see whether they can lift them back out, cut off that bit and then put them back, you know, rather than then ordering. Do you know what I'm saying? Taking these fences out and then flipping, doing all that flipping shebang. Do you understand what I mean, my little babies? But anyway, but let this be a lesson to myself, my little babies, and this is what I'm saying to you, okay? Because what I should have really said, you see, maybe if they were 4 foot tall, I mean, I'm not even sure if you can get 4 foot. I mean, I'm sure you should be able to get 4 foot, unless they've got to cut it a bit. Do you know what I mean, my little babies? Okay, well, I did with the 3 because that was a full one, and then it had to be cut in half. Do you know what I mean, my little babies? You know, lengthways, right? So, let it be a lesson to myself. So I'm just being honest on my camera, my little babies. What I should have done is really assessed, there we are, the situation myself, shouldn't I, really? Okay, and I should have said, okay, I would like a bit shorter fences. So they could have still kept their longer fences, which is what they've done. But I should have just really done, there we are, what is in my heart. Do you know what I mean? So that's when sometimes when you are doing things for others, especially when it's concerning one's homes, my little babies, do you know what I mean? It's not always that I feel always the right way to go, if you know what I mean, my little babies, okay? So I should have just said, well, no, I just prefer 4 foot fences. But then I thought, well, I do understand the one, you know, the privacy. Well, they've got the tent back up now, my delicious babies. Do you understand what I mean? Yes. And I'm really super duper pleased. And like I said, I really just hope that you do not fall out with me over this, sisters. But, you know, I just cannot stand looking at them really any longer. Honestly, you would have to see what I'm talking about. If you go from a 3 foot straight to a flipping 6 foot now, do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? Okay. And it, to myself, I don't mean it awful, but it's like being boxed in. And really, quite frankly, it's an arsehole to look at. And I'm just being honest, my delicious babies, and I cannot continue to look at it. So, I mean, like I said, I understand there's going to be a waiting time. Anyway, I forgot to put my lights on. 3, 2, 1, my juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright, yes. So, anyway, but everything will get sorted. And when I spoke to me dear little neighbour's beautiful dear little wife to be, she said, don't, you know, please don't worry, Carly, you know, everything gets fixed, which is true, you know what I mean, okay? But it was my fault, you know, really, silly fault. Do you know what I mean? So let it be a lesson to myself, you know what I mean? But, you know, next time I should spare a thought and say, hold on a minute before we go ahead with anything, you know what I mean? Just let me, you know, I should have done that in the first place. So if I had just done that in the first place, then it wouldn't come to yesterday where I just said, I'm sick and tired, sick to death of looking at these fences. Do you know what I mean? Okay? Because they probably thought, oh, you know, Carla's in a bad mood. No, it isn't. It's just I just got to that stage, mad little babies. So I'm just sick and tired of looking at them. I really am mad little babies. I mean, they're super duper tall. Because you've got to remember, you've got the concrete, haven't you? And then they sit on the concrete, don't they? Mad little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so that makes them even bloody damn well taller. Do you see what I mean? Mad little babies. And of course, you need to get a step ladder, even to get up there to paint them. Do you know what I mean? Mad little babies, okay? And right by the tree, well, my ladder just wouldn't do it, you know. I'll probably fall off the flipping ladder. Do you see what I mean? Because it's right next to my beautiful little tree Anastasia. Anyway, mad little babies, that's all I wanted to say, really. But yeah, you know, it's just one of those. Oh, and just very lastly, what I want to say, you know, I just get sick and tired, you know, and I'm going to say this, mad little babies, I just get sick and tired, you know, where one's still believing in, there we are, this bullshit with Trouble Trump. Okay? So we all know what warp speed #1 did, my delicious little babies, don't we now? Yes. And of course, we're supposed to relax, take it easy, while it's going into some sort of, what's it called, quantum system. And nobody's really to bat an eyelid. That's the way I was seeing it, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean, okay? No. So yesterday I was listening to videos, my delicious little babies, okay? No, and there we are. And it really cheesed me off, my delicious little babies. There we are. And actually, it really vexed me. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? Because I thought, when I go back years ago now, for what I was listening to, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, just seems to be a very, there we are, different story. So there we are. So what has changed, my delicious little babies? Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. So you get back to the same thing. Who's zooming who? And who, there we are, is paying who to push something to say, oh, all of this is all right, you just relax, you just don't worry about nothing. Just like, they're doing the 15-minute cities over here, my delicious babies, in the dome over in Born in the USA. But everybody's just got to relax, my delicious babies, And of course, then there's other ones who try to glorify these, what's it called, this digital shart. I mean, like I said, we've had credit cards, debit cards for years, you know what I mean? And I know for years you couldn't use American Express in our old England, my delicious babies. That's what reminded me as well when I was listening to a video. But what's my point to what I'm saying? My point is, yes, I'm aware that we were already half digital anyway, but my point of the matter is this is, there we are, and I'll repeat it again, most serious. Because if it's all digital, there we are, we're in flipping big shart. My delicious little babies, you see what I mean, okay? And where they say that there's not enough ka-ching, there's not enough cash, where the effing hell, there we are, is this coming from? So ones have got the printing machines, isn't it, Matt? I'm not shouting at you, my delicious babies. I just want to hear, there we are, the logic to what comes out of some mouths now then, isn't it? So if somebody's got a printing machine, and they can print and print and print and print, just like what they do every so many years. And I had it not long ago. What did I have? 20 ka-ching, £20 notes. And they were no longer in circulation. So therefore I had to go into my bank and I had to change it over. There we are, for the newer notes. Do you see what I mean? I remember saying that months and months and months and months and months ago. So how can I say that there's not enough cash? And anyway, I'll repeat this again. There we are. Cash just keeps going in a circle, circle, circle. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? Okay, it's like you go into one shop, you pay a lady cadaver, a father, right? So you can go in there then, right? Somebody then can be behind you in the queue. They could give a 10. You know what I mean? Another one could come in with 5 ones, pound coins, my delicious babies, okay? Then say somebody else could then come in and then they could buy something, I don't know, just for an example, they could buy something for, 2 quid, squids, ka-ching, yes, right. And then, of course, they give a fiver. And then somebody else has been in and paid the £5 coins, with what they've paid, yeah. And then the shopkeeper then will give the one who spent 2, give them £3 coins back. Do you see what I'm saying to you, Martin? There we are. I know what I'm talking about. But when one say that there's not enough cash, no, I don't believe this. I don't care what anyone tells me. I do not believe it. Now, let me tell you, I'm crap at maths. For any of you marginalistic babies who've been so, patient enough to listen to myself, you all know this, what I've said over the months. I make no secret of it. I'm absolutely shite at maths. But for my noddle, it doesn't make sense when somebody says there's not enough cash. It just doesn't make any sense to me, marginalistic babies. Do you know what I mean? And it still will not make any sense. Just like, and I repeat this again, every so many videos, just like when they said there's no inflation. Well, I got it spelled out to my beautiful dear little spirit guards. Sorry, do forgive me. rewind and start again. Got that the wrong way around. My beautiful dear little spirit guide spelled out to me, there is no such thing as inflation. And then, like I said, I heard another dear gentleman now, an older gentleman, bless him, not in that way, not in that way, on YouTube. And I remember mentioning it months ago. And he too said, nothing such as inflation. But because these words, there we are, they fly around just like, oh, there's not enough cash. Oh, it's all inflation. There we are. So ones believe, there we are, this shat. There we are. And that is the truth of it. And what about, if we go back to, what was it, that great that just came into my noddle, the great train robbery? So, I mean, it wasn't just all letters, was it, my delicious? I gotta get a message to you. It wasn't all letters, was it? It must have been ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. And then where did they go? Because they did a film, Phil Collins, going loco down in Acapulco. He was doing that film with Julie Walters. And that was to do with the great robbery or something, wasn't it? If my mind serves me correctly. Okay, my delicious babies, in case I know. I just want to know where all of this is coming from. That's all I want to know. But to say there's not enough cash when you got machines, so what they're going to do then? Grant all of the machines, the cash machine, the ones who print the machines, the cash, sorry. So what they're going to do then? They're just going to leave that to go old and rusty. I don't feel so, my delicious babies. No, I do not. And I've got nothing across my shoulders. And that's telling me no. And I stand by what I say. There we are. I stand by what I say. So call me thick or brain dead. I do not believe that I am thick or brain dead. It's just that many, many, many decades ago, and I remember this myself, and even when I used to do my little paper round when I was 11, you know what I mean? You get a little brown envelope, and inside I used to get ever so excited, because I got my little wage, you know what I mean? You work all week and you get your wage. Do you know what I mean? A little brown envelope. Didn't matter what you did, if you did cleaning jobs, no matter what you did, if you did care work, you get a little brown envelope, you know what I mean? And when I first started in jewellery, for that, for a long time actually, until it went to a cheque, I used to get paid cash in a brown envelope every week, my delicious babies, you see what I mean? So there's plenty of cash then, wasn't there? So, there we are, that's what I'm saying. So, you know what I mean? I just believe that they just bring it in like this. So eventually everybody goes, oh, there isn't enough cash, cash, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Do you see what I mean, Martin? Slick babies. This form of there we are, brainwashing. Isn't it, Martin? Slick babies, they just want us to get a full hog. There we are, and full digital, like I've been saying long time, and others, bless their dear little souls, have been saying long time. Do you see what I mean? No, I still believe that cash is king. There we are. And that is what I've always been brought up to believe. Cash is, there we are, king. And one last thing, and then I'm definitely going to go now, my little baby's car. I had somebody come, was it last week, to do with, for me to change because I have, for those of you who know my little babies, of course ones who do not know, but I have prepayment meters, which I've had, there we are, since I was very, very, very young, okay? So for myself, I just prefer to have them because I can just, take my key down with me, this plastic thing, or I could take my plastic gas card, that's the electric one, and then I got the plastic gas card, and then I could just go and, with my cash, ka-ching, and then I can just go and, get me gas and electric, okay? Or at the very rare times, if I haven't got the cash on me, and maybe there isn't a cash point near to myself, occasionally I will use my card occasionally, just to get my gas and electric, and I hand my gas and electric cards, you see what I mean? But what's happened is, and they brought this in, now for ones already know, they will know this, okay? But I said no, I said I won't have it. So it's like a new system. So what it is, it means that these electric, I do believe do with the gas as well, okay? So you call up with the old bring, 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 you know what I mean, dog and burn, and then you can top up, okay? But the one problem is that you cannot do it as a weekend, and I know this because somebody there told me, was it a year and a half ago? With one of theirs, they couldn't So what was happening was they were running out of, there we are, the emergency as well, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And they didn't happen to have a spare, like one of these cards or keys or something. Okay. And I remember somebody telling me that back at that time. So your woman here now then, and I did say to her, I said, I know you're only doing your job, and you've got to go door to door and everything, right? But of course I was on her list, And she said, would you like one of these new smart meters? I said, well, a smart meter for what, please? And thank you. She said, well, for your electric. I said, no. I said, I'm happy the way I am. Because with a new one, I don't think you can put in it's not an electric key. Okay. It's very different anyway. I was explaining to her, I said, well, it's called smart. I said, but there's nothing smart about anything. Now, sorry, excuse me. Now, what I was getting confused with at first, I thought she was talking about the smart meter. And I said, well, no. I said, I do not want a smart meter. Do you see what I mean? So there's a little bit of confusion at the beginning of our conversation, you see. And I said, because no. I said, in America, I said, parts of America, the ones who have had them, I said, even, with consent or not, I said, some of them have been known to blow up and set on fire. I said, and these are classed as an Alexa, like an Alexa. I said, so they're listening, there we are, to everything. Do you see what I mean? Okay. I said, and then once installed, I said, they tell you that they cannot uninstall it. I find that very hard to believe, my delicious babies, okay? You can install something, there we are, you can surely take it back out, okay? And I have seen it in America because they put it on the outside of homes, and then I have seen it where it was removed. And somebody who had that done, was it last year, was the SGT report, okay? And he had that done, and he ran down the road to the smart meters who fit it, and he says, no, I don't want it, do you know what I mean? But he had to pay a fee to flipping have it bloody removed as well, my delicious babies, you know what I mean? When he never even asked for it in the first place. Do you see what I mean? So anyway, she said, no. She said, I know what you're talking about. She said, and yes, there have been problems. Because I said, yes, I said, like they were forcing ones to have a meter when they never wanted one. And she said, yes, I do remember that. So fast forward. So then she turned around, she says, well, it's to do with your electric. I said, no. I said, I'm quite happy. There we are. I said, the way I'm operating, the way I'm working. I said, I do not want it changed. Do you know what I mean? Okay, because there's nothing but damn well problems, and not only that. Oh, so one of the selling points, to these, okay, my delicious babies, is that you can just sit in the comfort of your own home, just call it, and it's it's topped up for you. There we are, to make it so much easier for you. Just so that you don't have to, if you're in a flat, to walk down your stairs, to go and open the metered door to take a look. You see what I mean? You can just sit on your sofa, there we are, and it's all done for you. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? Do you follow what I'm saying? Yes. So I says, I said, if you could please go back to, who I'm with. And I said, my provider, because after all, we've all got a provider, my delicious babies. I said, if you could please tell him no, I'm quite all right the way I am. I said, however, I will be requiring, I said, if I could do that, I said, and she said, oh, no. I said, okay. I said, I'll have to contact them myself then. I said, because I need a new key and a new card for my gas and electric. I said, but other than that, I said, I do not want anything changed. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So if you, there we are, I feel, stand your ground, there we are, and you continuously say no, like what they did with the smart meters when they kept calling me. I said, how many times do I have to say to you? The answer's no. I said, please don't tell me that it's free. I said, because let me tell you, I said, the best things in life are free. I said, and these are not very good things now. Do you see what I mean? But these ones who try to sell it to you, they're in a job themselves, aren't they? So they're trying to, there we are, earn a wage themselves. Do you see what I mean? Okay, but no. And I have told them, I said, if you was to know the truth about it, which I said to your young woman there last week, I said, if you knew the truth about it, I said, you certainly wouldn't want one of them smart meters. Do you see what I mean? Okay. Anyway, so that's the end of my video. Oh, and very lastly, our lovely, also pleased, came up on my feed, our lovely Alex Belfield. He's going to be doing his videos, my delicious little babies. I don't know, is he going to be doing it today? Yeah, is it at alexbelfield.com? Okay, so you'll be able to find his videos on there, my delicious little babies. Oh, I'm so pleased that he's all right, and there we are, and everything's all right with him, bless him, okay? Because of course he got into trouble as well. But of course, I used to advertise our lovely Notting That Way, our lovely Alex Bellyfield, sorry, Alex Belfield, there we are, regularly. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he was just flipping hilarious. He just used to have me flipping cracked up, do you know what I mean? The guy, he's just so funny. You know, when somebody's just got a naturally, there we are, funny, hilarious personality, you know what I mean? Just very good at the crack, at good telling jokes and everything, you know what I mean? And not everybody, with the best will in the world, not everybody has that, to be, you know, the gift of the gab, there we are, to be able to do that, you know what I mean? I see that as being very special. That's why if you get an excellent comedian, mind you, they're very hard to come by these days, aren't they? Because these try to get rid of them as well, you know. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of that going on, hasn't there, Mards of the Schlick Babies, anyway? But if you get a really good comedian, bless, and a really banging, you know what I mean? You're truly blessed, you know. You really, really are, Marvelous Babies. And I just wanted to mention it. So welcome back, our lovely Alex Belfield. Bless your dear little soul. Oh, bless him. Anyway, Marvelous Babies, okay? So sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful, there we are, little families all be fully protected, okay? Whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies, okay, my little beautifuls? So until my next video to you all, you just please look after now how I love you so, and I shall, there we are, continue to love you so. Take care. Thank you once again for listening. Goodbye.